All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're zeroing in on something pretty cool, the HP Omen Transcend 14. We've got a couple of sources to dig into. One, kind of a deep dive into all the specs and what it can do.
Right.
And the other, more of a hands-on full review.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they have to say about this thing. For you, someone who likes to get right to the heart of the matter, does this really live up to that hype? Can you really get a compact powerhouse for gaming?
That's the question, right? Can you really get that serious gaming power in a package that you can also take with you to work or school or wherever?
Yeah, can it really be that all-in-one machine? I guess that's what we're here to find out. So, right off the bat, both sources really emphasize how portable this thing is.
Yeah.
It's only about 3.5 pounds,
Okay.
which anyone who's ever tried to travel with a gaming laptop knows that that's pretty light.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Most of the time you're looking at something twice that size. Easy.
Exactly. So this is starting to sound like something you could actually use every day, not just for gaming.
Right. And the design kind of reinforces that. It's not over-the-top gamer looking. They've got a couple of color options.
Oh, yeah.
Ceramic white and shadow black. They're going for something that can blend in whether you're at a coffee shop or giving a presentation.
I see. So it's not just about being light, but also looking the part in different settings.
Exactly. And they didn't skimp on the build quality either.
Oh, good.
It's a magnesium aluminum alloy chassis, which helps keep it light, but also durable.
Okay.
Now, there was one little thing. One of the sources mentioned some reports of screen wobble.
Uh-oh, is that common?
It doesn't sound widespread, but it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be using it on the go a lot.
Yeah, I can see that being a little annoying.
Definitely.
All right, let's talk about what it's like to actually use this thing, starting with the keyboard.
Okay.
One of the sources called the keyboards look unique, which, I don't know, maybe it's a nice way of saying it's a bit different.
Right. Not everyone's going to love it.
Yeah, and it sounds like the feel of the keyboard is kind of a mixed bag, too. Some people like it, some people don't.
Keyboards are so subjective. What feels good to one person might be terrible to another.
Yeah, for sure. It does have RGB lighting, though, so you can customize it a bit.
Okay. That's always a plus.
At least you can make it look how you want, even if the feel isn't perfect.
Exactly.
The trackpad, on the other hand, seems to be a hit. Both sources said it's a good size and very responsive.
Yeah, that's crucial for a laptop like this. You want it to be usable even when you don't have a mouse.
Right, you don't want to be stuck with a clunky trackpad, especially if you're using it for work or just browsing.
Absolutely.
And speaking of looking nice, they went with really thin bezels around the display.
Yeah, it gives it that modern, almost all-screen look.
Which is great because it means you're getting more screen real estate in a smaller overall package.
And the display itself is really where this laptop shines.
Oh, yeah.
Both sources were raving about that 14-inch OLED panel.
I mean, OLED, you know it's going to look good.
Vibrant colors, those deep, inky blacks that OLED is known for. Really impressive contrast.
So this is a laptop that's not just powerful, but also a visual treat?
Absolutely. Whether you're gaming or watching a movie, you're in for a good time.
And they didn't stop there. It's a 2.8K resolution, so everything is going to be crisp and clear.
Yep. And they paired that with a 120 hertz refresh rate, which is great for gaming, but it also makes everyday use feel so much smoother.
Right, you get that buttery smooth scrolling and everything just feels more responsive.
Exactly. And the review specifically mentioned stunning color accuracy, which is huge for creative work.
Yeah, if you're doing anything where color is important, that's a big deal.
For sure.
All right, time to talk power. Under the hood, we've got NVIDIA GeForce RTX 40 series GPUs, and our review mentioned the i7-13700H specifically. For gaming, it sounds like you're getting solid 1080p performance. You might have to tweak the settings a bit for the really demanding games, but overall, it can handle modern titles.
Yeah, the RTX 40 series is no slouch. And with a processor like that, it's going to be able to handle pretty much anything you throw at it.
So it's a gaming machine, but it's also got the muscle for everyday tasks, video editing, all that stuff.
Exactly. It's a true all-rounder.
Now, one thing that always comes up with powerful laptops is heat.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
packing all this performance into a pretty small space.
Right.
And it sounds like the cooling system is decent, but it can definitely get hot under heavy load.
Which is to be expected to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, physics is physics. But the excerpt mentioned that some people are even repasting the CPU and GPU themselves to try and improve thermals.
Really?
Yeah, so it sounds like maybe there's some room for improvement there. HP does have their Omen Tempest cooling system, though.
Right, so they are thinking about thermals.
Yeah, but it might not be perfect for everyone, especially if you're pushing the laptop to its limits.
Interesting.
In terms of RAM and storage, the review mentioned configurations with 16 or 32 GB of DDR5 RAM
Okay, that's a good amount.
and up to a 1 TB NVMe SSD.
Plenty of space.
Yeah, so you're not going to be running out of memory or storage anytime soon. And the review highlighted those AI-powered optimizations.
Right.
Making sure you're getting the best performance out of the GPU. And they also mentioned DLSS 3.0 support.
That's becoming more and more common, and for good reason.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what it can do.
It really is.
So when you combine that powerful hardware with that gorgeous OLED display, the gaming experience on this thing sounds top-notch. The review said games like Cyberpunk 2077, Call of Duty, Warzone, and Forza Horizon 5 all ran smoothly at high settings.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, well over 90 frames per second.
So it's not just about looking good, it's also about playing well.
Exactly. And they also mentioned that the keyboard has anti-ghosting.
Good. That's essential for gaming. You don't want to be missing keystrokes in the middle of a firefight.
Right, you need that responsiveness.
For sure.
Now, battery life is always a big question with gaming laptops.
Yeah, that's always the trade-off, isn't it?
Right, you get the power, but you sacrifice some battery life. And it sounds like that's true here as well. If you're gaming, you're not going to get a ton of time unplugged.
Yeah, that's to be expected.
But for everyday use, the review said you could get up to around 8 hours.
Well, that's actually pretty good for a gaming laptop.
Right. And they mentioned a 71W Air battery, which isn't huge, but it sounds like they've done a decent job with optimization.
Yeah, getting 8 hours out of that is impressive.
And it also supports fast charging, so you can get back up to 50% in just 30 minutes.
That's a lifesaver.
Definitely. All right, let's talk a little bit about the software.
Okay.
HP includes their Omen Gaming Hub,
Yeah.
which is basically a central hub for managing all the gaming-related stuff. You can create profiles, tweak settings, customize the RGB lighting, and the review mentioned that it's got some AI-powered performance tuning built in.
Interesting.
Optimizing everything on the fly to make sure your games run smoothly. And apparently the RechargeMyTopup community, I guess that's some kind of tech community, they had good things to say about HP's software.
Oh, that's a good sign. When the users are happy, you know they're doing something right.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like they've put some effort into making the software experience pretty good.
Makes a big difference.
All right, connectivity. This thing seems to have all the ports you could need.
Oh, yeah.
2 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports, a standard USB-A port, HDMI 2.1, headphone jack, and even a micro SD card reader.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, they really covered all the bases. And for wireless, it's got Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.2.
So you're good to go on all fronts.
Pretty much. All right, a couple of things to keep in mind. The big one is price.
Yeah.
This is a premium laptop, so it's not going to be cheap.
You're paying for all that performance and that gorgeous display?
Exactly. And the review also mentioned that it doesn't have per-key RGB customization on the keyboard.
Okay.
So if you're really into fine-tuning your RGB, that might be a bit of a bummer.
That's fair.
So overall, it sounds like the HP Omen Transcend 14 is really trying to be the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's trying to deliver that high-end gaming experience in a package that's still portable and sleek.
Right. And both of our sources seem to think it does a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a really compelling option for anyone who wants power and portability.
And that really seems to be the key takeaway here. The Omen Transcend 14 offers a powerful blend of performance and portability, all wrapped up in a beautiful design.
And that OLED display is really something special.
It really is. So for you, our listener, we want to leave you with a thought. Imagine having a laptop that can handle pretty much anything you throw at it. You could go from a hardcore gaming session to editing videos to working on a presentation all on the same machine.
That kind of versatility could really change how you approach your work in your free time. It could open up new possibilities.
Yeah, think about that. How would having a laptop like this change the way you do things? What compromises, if any, would you be willing to make to have that level of power and flexibility at your fingertips?
It's an interesting question to consider.
Definitely.
So we'll leave you with that.
Listen.
And as always, thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Until next time.